Hey guys, it's Maddie, and today I'm going to be talking about the art studio that I go to and all the weird things that happen there, because a lot of weird things happen there, and there's a lot of really interesting people, so I thought it'd be fun to talk about. So let's get into the video. So now to start off, I'm going to give you some background on the people that I go to the studio with. Now, my aunt, I guess, kind of family friend, yeah, she owns the studio, so I talk to her a lot, and I know her, and we're really nice and talk to each other a bunch. And now, since it's an art studio kind of thing, she often works with the juvie system and homes and stuff for elderly people, so there's a lot of people there that kind of have special needs and that kind of thing, and they definitely to paint, and it's really fun. And I know there's this one girl, and it's funny because she calls everybody Lassie, so I think that's funny. And then there's this other guy and stuff, and he always talks about religion and rants about it. Now there also is this one lady, and she has a helmet on her head because she has seizures all the time. She's super sweet, she's super nice, and I'd always loved sitting by her and that kind of thing, except she did have seizures a lot, and often she would even have them while we were in our class, and so I'd have to help out with that. And I'm going to tell you a kind of weird story that goes with that. So yeah. Basically, since she had seizures all the time, my aunt would always talk to everybody about how to react to them, which is not to panic, but to depending on the type of seizure, we either have to hold her to make sure she doesn't fall over and hurt herself, or if it's a grand mal, which is the amount of time that it's going long for, that's how you can differentiate between the two. If it's a grand mal, we have to help her by helping her off of the chair and having her lay down on a pillow somewhere so that she doesn't move around enough to hurt herself. I believe this one day was about the first time I've ever seen somebody have a seizure before in my life, so that was really interesting. And basically, I thought she was kind of showing signs, she was kind of acting weird and stuff, so, and we all find out, oh my gosh, she's having a seizure. So we go up, and I'm kind of helping to bring her down and stuff, and I went to get water, and I came back and gave it to her, and so then when she was coming out of the seizure, she was able to hydrate herself and that kind of thing. Now the weird part happens with this other man, whom I will get into more background on him. But basically he was kind of weird. I didn't trust him because, okay, so at this one point I was going back to put some paints away, and I can kind of feel that he's looking at me, but I'm not doing anything about it, because I'm just oh, I'll ignore it, it's fine. But I can't help myself, and I end up turning around looking at him, and he just looks at me and smiles. Friendliest weird person I've ever met, oh my goodness. So then there's that guy that I kind of don't trust, and so at the time when she was coming out of the seizure, I was thinking really, really hard in my head, he keeps acting like he's a good guy, but he's a really bad guy. And keep in mind, I use that specific word usage. I'm oh, he's a bad guy, even though everybody thinks he's a good guy. As I'm thinking that, and by the way, her helper was there with her, so yeah. As I'm thinking that, her helper's telling her, oh yeah, this guy, I almost said his name, this guy came here and he was helping you out and stuff. And as I was thinking how he was a bad guy, she goes, bad guy? And her helper's no, he's not a bad guy. And I'm just what just happened? That's so weird, because she's friends with that guy for they've been friends for years, and it's so weird how she just randomly calls him a bad guy out of nowhere when I was just thinking it. And so that was kind of a funny weird thing that happened. So another notable thing that goes on in that art place is that the plumbing's not very good, and by that I mean my aunt told me that at one time it was completely overflowing and water was coming up and flooding everywhere, and she had to cancel class because there was a class going on as that was going on, and it was so terrible. And there's oh my gosh, the area is just really weird, and there's a heater that kind of that's up on the wall and it makes noise, and there's and her kiln was out of service because it broke or something for at least a year or two, and she kept calling people to help fix her kiln, but they're oh no, sorry, blah blah blah, we can't because of this thing, and oh, we pushed it back because of that thing. So nobody could use the kiln for ever, and it was so annoying because I really wanted to do pottery. So now another thing that happened was that there's this one kid there, and he was I want to say 2 or 3 years older than me, and he's really into the punk scene, he's and he also he likes putting on makeup and stuff right now, which I think is really cool for him, but not really relevant, but just to tell you more about this kid. Anywho, so he's like a few years older than me, and like we're like hanging out and stuff, and he's like really funny, you know, so I kind of like him, or I have the possibility of liking him. And anywho, so the way that her art studio set up is like there's her studio, like you have to kind of drive around the back to the studio, and then there's this like storage area, and then there's like this kind of hardware store, I want to say, like in the front. So in between the two there's the storage area. And now me, I'm a very curious person, and apparently so is that kid, because she sent us back there to like go look for something, and so we like were really curious and we wanted to like see everything else. So we get in there, kind of, I think it was either by the kiln or by like the back door, but anyhow, so we're in there, we're like wading through every different like way to walk and stuff, and we find out there's like a toilet back there, which is really weird. Like it's not connected to anything, it's not like whatever, it's just a toilet just sitting there. And then there's also this like room area with like a kind of like a mirror. Well, okay, it wasn't mirror, it was like a two-way like mirror kind of, because like when I walked inside it like I could see through it, but when I walked out it was like a mirror, like you know what I'm talking about, which was really weird because it's like, why would you even need that for, like, I know it was a hardware store before, but why would a hardware store need that kind of like window? Like it was so weird, and I was like, why do they need that? Like that's one part I remember. And there was like, obviously there's a bunch of easels back there because it's like an art studio and kind of neat easels, you know. And anywho, so back to the person I was with. So we're like walking over, like looking at everything, and it's like dark, obviously, because we didn't turn the lights on, because technically we weren't supposed to be there. So as we're walking, he like looks at me and he's like, oh, it's like really dark in here, I'm getting scared, can you hold my hand? And I was looking at him like, seriously? And he's like, seriously, yes. Which, by the way, he's like wearing like kind of grungy punk stuff, and he's like taller than me and stuff, so I'm like, a person like you doesn't look like you'd be scared of the dark, like this is kind of funny. So I'm like, okay. So I grab his hand and we're walking through this place like Scooby-Doo style, like it's dark and we're like holding hands and like creeping through, like oh my goodness. And I think we heard some people like on the other side. Well, I know at one point, again, I'm gonna tell you about that part later. But anywho, so we're like walking through it, and he's like saying he's all scared. I'm just like, you little sissy, like how dare you? So eventually I like let go of his hand and started laughing because it was like so funny, and he was like, well, okay, let's go back now. So we did. So now, as I was saying about hearing people, I know at one point me and my friend was like watercoloring, which is by the wall, and we could hear people and stuff, so I like put my ear up to the wall, and I could hear like people on the other side talking in the storage unit, which was weird because like hardly anybody goes back there, and it sounded like young people. Anywho, like we put our ear up to the wall and we hear people talking and they sound like they're our age. It's like a girl and like a guy and stuff, kind of like really young, because at the time I was like, what, middle school possibly, so they were like very young. And I think one of them said something like, oh hey, you're the one who brought us here, like blah blah blah, like what are we gonna do now? And that was also really really weird, because like why would they be in the storage unit? Like I could understand if they're like people that are from the other place on the other side and they're like getting storage, but it wasn't like adult voices, it was like kid voices, and we were freaked out. Another notable thing was that my aunt did have a stalker at that point from her husband's old flame, I guess. She was like kind of crazy, and basically she told me a few stuff about it, and that she kept calling and like saying really big obscene stuff at her and stuff like that. And so I was like, oh okay. So like at that point I was like, oh my gosh, like no, I don't like you, like I will like hurt you if you get anywhere close to her. So like every time the phone would ring, I would like go and get it, cause even though she didn't tell me to, because I was like, oh my gosh, like I don't want her to do anything. And so at one point the phone rang and I answered it and I'm like, hello. There's silence. I'm like, hello again. I kind of hear like dogs barking and like hello, and like nobody was saying anything, so I hung up. And she looks at me and she's like, oh, like was there anybody online? Like what did they say? And I'm like, oh, nothing. She's like, was there dogs barking in the background? I'm like, yeah. And she's like, oh, I know who that is. I'm like, ugh. I should have yelled at her. I had the chance to yell at her and I didn't. So that was another kind of weird thing that was going on. So yeah, that's basically all that I have of like my interesting like art studio experiences, at least at this point. If I can think of more, I might tell them then. But yeah, thank you for watching this video. Like and subscribe if you like me and want to subscribe to me. And thank you for watching, and bye. Bye.